Welcome to Mountaineer Football Tonight, the weekly coaches show for Kings Mountain High School, brought to you by KMHS Sports and the Kings Mountain Touchdown Club.
Good evening, Mountaineer fans. Welcome to the Coaches Show, Mountaineer Football Tonight. I'm glad to have you with us. We are going to talk to Coach Herron about our game this past Friday against South Point Red Raiders. And we're going to look forward to the game against Stuart Cramer, which is this Friday. So if you will stick around after the break and we see some of our sponsors, we'll be back. We'll welcome Coach Herron to the show. So stick around. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, KM Family YMCA, KM Paint Pros LLC, Arthur Services Incorporated, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back, fans. Drew is scrambling over here behind the cameras. He's trying to get. We had camera problems Friday night at the game. It's just not been meant for us to be, but it's okay. Coach, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yes. Coach been under the weather. I was hesitant.
That's true.
But that's all right. Listen, this man's strong enough to come to work after not feeling well. I can fight off whatever it is. I hope he's doing better. Coach, welcome as always.
Thank you.
Huge game Friday night, big atmosphere, Big South Conference matchup. Teams were both undefeated. South Point always brings a great crowd. We had a great crowd. Things were really exciting. I mean, even just the boys before the game started, they looked like really excited to play. It just was a neat experience. And I know we're going to say it as we go and we talk about it. Overall, I thought the game was a good game. I mean, I thought the boys played hard and their team played hard, and they did some things that, they actually got in a few formations that I've never seen them get in before. I know you guys have because you'd scouted them, but like from all the years I coached against them, they still ran the same stuff, but like a different couple formations. But just a back and forth game, which is what you kind of want.
Oh yeah.
I wish we'd have come out on the other side, but we're going to talk about. I'm going to get you feedback on what you thought about, because the first quarter, they take the ball. Drive the length of the field almost basically, and I was noticing, and I really paid attention in the first drive, and then he probably did the rest of the game, but Blee was really milking the play clock and burning the clock down. Next thing I know, I look up and they've wasted they've used almost 10 minutes of the first quarter. So they drive down the score, but we get a good kickoff return again this week. Our kickoff return team looking good.
Yep.
Sets us up, and we have a couple of really good plays, and we score, and we tie it up. So tell me like what you were thinking in that first quarter. You probably had to know they might do some ball control because they know you.
Yeah.
And then, what you were thinking about as we went through that, because we tied up. We had a good drive to go right back and tie the game up after they had that successful drive to open the game.
Yeah, and the key there is they had a 15-play drive, and they scored with about 2 minutes, 45 seconds left in the first quarter. So they had the ball for most of that quarter, and that makes it hard on you. We just knew, that's what we talked about before. We talked about last week was whenever we were on offense, we can't go 3 and out. We got to reverse the field position, make them go to distance, which they obviously can do.
Right.
But the big thing was that we responded real well. Came back with a 6-play drive. JoJo scored on touchdown, and with 32 seconds left. In
That's what I've got. Yeah.
So it was nice. The best thing about it is we answered what they did. Obviously, they took a lot of time off the clock, but we were able to answer.
So you got to feel good about that opening quarter. I mean, even though I know you would have liked to have had more opportunities had you had more time.
Right.
But I know you had to be pleased with the time you had. You executed.
Yeah, it's just we knew that was going to be the issue. We knew that that's their kind of ball.
Right.
That's what they want to do.
Right.
They want to keep the ball away from you, and so we have to take advantage of our opportunities, and we did for the most part. We did have a couple of 3 and outs in the second quarter that hurt us. I think that hurt us bad because those would have been opportunities that we could have taken the lead, and we didn't get it done. But they were, it was they're a good football team. They do what they do, and I played teams like them before. Mm-hmm. The old teams like the Clover used to run the double tight end, double wing, foot to foot.
Yeah.
And that's they don't give up the ball. So it's hard to do. It's 3 yards in a cloud of dust every single play, and they let the play clock go all the way down. Yeah. So long story short, if you go back and look, we had 12 offensive snaps in the first half.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Yeah, I mean,
but we were still in the game.
You were, and you spoke of the second quarter. I mean, we did what we needed to do. We made them punt. And I mean, we did what we needed to do, but we just couldn't get out of our own end zone or our end and gave them a short field. But even after that, I've got them down scoring at the 4:41 mark in the second quarter, but yet they get the ball back again, and we hold them.
Right, and that was huge.
That was enormous.
That was what kept us in, so that because we told our defense, hey man, we got to stop them because we get the ball in the second half, and so if we can stop them, it gives us a chance to come back and tie it up.
Right.
So that halftime stand was
big.
really big.
Because then it goes into half. I know you feel good going in, and you come out in the third quarter, you get another great kickoff return. So big shout out to our kickoff return team again, and Gash gets a great pass, and at the 11:07 mark, so not too long into the third quarter, we're scoring and tying the game.
Yes, and
we've got some momentum on our side.
Yeah, and that was the that's where you call it. That's the Gash drive. I mean, he had a great catch over there on the sideline. That was, of course, they were arguing that he was out of bounds, and I couldn't see it, and even from video, I couldn't tell, but. It is what it is. They're gonna make a bad one against us at some point too. But anyway, it was a big 50-yard catch. Then we turn around and we're in a third down situation, and Gash catches another one across the middle for a first down sliding, and then JoJo caps it off with a 5-yard touchdown. So that was a big drive for us with some big plays to get us back in the game.
And that had to, again, you were able to run your offense, and that was the good thing. Their defense is pretty stingy as well. They were giving you some stuff across the middle, I thought, with the way they were playing their defensive backs. And I think we took advantage of it pretty well at times. Mm-hmm. And then, we score, and we kick off, and we pin them deep. And I'm hoping we're going to score them there. And then one of those darn plays, like they're used to, they break one on us, and the fullback gets loose.
Yeah, they had 2 of those that really hurt us. That we had, one was the fullback and one was the quarterback. And if we just stick to our assignments and do what we're supposed to do, we get those guys. They at least make them keep grinding it out, because they do have a tendency to put the ball on the ground.
Yes, they do.
They did it a couple of times, and we just couldn't get our hands on it. But that's the. I guess that's the disadvantage of what they do. If you do 15 snaps and you got to protect that ball for 15 times, and so that could have been helpful for us, but it didn't turn out that way.
So they go up after the long run by Ford. Yep. That wasn't what scored, of course, but he gets it down there, and then they end up they score not too long after that. But then we have another throw to Gash.
Yeah, that was Gash.
And that was huge. And then 2 big runs by Joe. The second run, like back-to-back, great runs. The second one being for the score. And then here again, we're right back in it.
Right back in
20, which we never really were out of it. I don't want to say that.
I never felt that.
No.
I never felt that. I felt like that we were holding on. And which, You know, just if you take away that first drive or give us the opportunity to go up, I think everything changes.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
Them getting the ball first, and it just kind of set it the way it was.
Yeah.
So it kind of, you know, it didn't even feel like we were fighting from behind. It wasn't like it was, you know, we're down by 2 touchdowns, we got to get back. It was just, man, we know we've just got to take our opportunities. We got to score, and then we got to stand up and get them stopped. And because anytime, that's the thing about our guys, and what I've tried to elaborate to them is that they got to be confident in what they do. We've got guys that can score really, really quick if they want to. You know, I mean. But we've got to learn to execute a lot better than what we're doing. Not execute a lot better. We've got to learn to execute better and do it more often.
Yeah.
But we got the guys that can do that. But anyway, it just kind of went back and forth and back and forth.
It did. I mean, because we score and tie it, and then they have a drive that ends the third quarter and then go into the fourth, and they scored with 11:20. To go up 28-21. But one of the things that impressed me after that was, and I know you would wanted to have scored, but you had exactly what you wanted, I think. At the end of the game, or toward the end of the game, you made 2 stands on defense to give yourself the ball back.
Yep.
And with our type of offense, I like those odds.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't, you know, we drive and we turn it back over to them on downs, I think, and they get it, or however they got it, I don't remember, but it doesn't matter. And then we hold them.
Yeah.
You know, you use the timeouts and we hold them. So we had 2 drives at the end of the game. And I think, you know, and I'm definitely not going to speak for you. You say what you want to say, but you had to like that opportunity, or those 2 opportunities, because you still got a shot to tie the game, or maybe
I felt really
maybe
good.
You know, even take the lead.
Yeah, I felt really good, and I know our players felt good. One of the players came up to me on the sideline and said, "Coach, when we score, we're going to overtime, right?" You know, because so they were already thinking, "Are we going to go for 2, or are we going to go to overtime?" And so, you know, that's good that they felt like they had that confidence.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, that end of the game, those 2 series, and we practice it. We have a 5-minute segment in our practice at least once a week of 2-minute offense, and so we talk about spiking the ball and all that. Well, you know, on the second one where we had the ball at the very end of the game, that last play was a 4th down.
Yeah.
And there were guys on our sideline yelling, "Clock it, clock it, clock it." And then I was going, no, you got to run a play. Well, then if you watch, if you see the play, the ball snapped, and I think we had 2 receivers go out for a pass. One of them was standing there like, y'all ain't called a play, so I don't know what to do, which is not the way it should work. They should know, man, we got to snap it. We don't have timeout. We can't spike it. We got to run the play. But those 2 guys who did run the play gave us an opportunity, and you know, and I was real pleased with TJ in that situation, because I was like, man, TJ's getting ready to spike. Now I'm screaming, but he's getting ready to spike this ball, and we're going to look really.
He knew down
stupid.
the distance, and that's important.
Well, it was knowing that it was 4th down. He knew it was 4th down, and so with 2 seconds left, we get the ball snapped, which gives us a chance.
Yeah.
So I was happy with that. That shows that they've been coached and that they understand those situations, which they don't see very often.
Right.
You know, that's hard to simulate in practice every day, but they did a great job with it, and I wish I'd loved seeing us complete that pass. That would have been awesome.
It would have been interesting. It was still interesting the way it was. Honestly, I'm telling you, with the type of offense they run, if you had told me that you would have gotten the ball twice in under 3 minutes in the 4th quarter,
right,
I wouldn't have really believed it, because
I'm
thought.
gonna be honest with you. We had talked about calling a timeout right before that on offense, and I told Coach Bolton, I said, no, I don't want to call timeout, because if we got to give them the ball back, we're going to need all 3 of them to stop the clock. But in my mind, I'm really thinking, man, can we really stop them? You know, on 3 plays, and they did. They did a great job. Defense went out and
they stepped up.
They got them stopped. So I was glad we had those 3 timeouts. It worked perfect. I mean,
Right.
that was exactly the way you would have to draw it up in order to end the game. Because if we'd have called timeout on offense, we'd only had 2 left when we got back on defense, and they would have probably ran the clock out.
Yeah, I think so,
yeah,
too.
They did a really good job with that.
So, Coach, like we always do, let's talk about, as we wrap up, moving on from South Point, tell me your 3 takeaways from the game or what you feel about it.
Well, the first one, the first takeaway is that I'm glad to be in Kings Mountain. That's that kind of game, that atmosphere is. I hope our kids understand that everybody in the country that plays Friday night football doesn't get to experience that. They don't. I mean, and I coached in a place where we won a lot of games, and our atmosphere wasn't that. Not every night. So that's takeaway number one. It was a great atmosphere, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And then the second, I guess, takeaway is that it's always fun to watch our players. Our players play so hard. I wish they would take coaching like on the technical stuff, the small things, the little things that make the difference. I wish they would take that a little more, listen to us a little more. But I love to watch them play, because when they play, it's all out, get after it. Yeah. And so that's something, and I've told them, which takes me to takeaway number 3. I don't know if you watch, but our kids and the South Point kids were very responsive. They responded well to each other.
Right.
I saw our guys helping their guys up. I saw their guys helping our guys up. There was a kid that got hit on our sideline, and when he stood up and started to stumble, our guys held him. Right. So that's another takeaway. It's great to see that. Now, as soon as I say that, because this is what I've told our players from day one. The one thing that I can't stand as a person, and I think I've said this before, is to be embarrassed. I don't get embarrassed by not winning a game. I don't get embarrassed by just off the wall stuff. What embarrasses me is when our players do not play hard, or when they don't show good character. And that game, they did a great job with it until the buzzer sounded, and then helmets started flying and getting thrown on the ground and all that stuff. And so after it was over, that's not going to happen again.
Right.
Because that embarrasses me. I told them, I said, that is not what we look like a bunch of 5-year-olds that didn't get the ice cream cone they asked for.
Right.
And we're going to pitch a fit. And
yeah.
It's football,
Yeah.
So those are the things that we're trying to get through to them, and I think it's all about. I can't tell. It's all about the R. That's one of the leadership things that I used to use. It's all about the R. It's your response. How do you respond to things that happen to you? And I think they're accepting it, and it should get better and better. But that would be takeaway number 3. Is I think our guys they look like that the character of who they want to be,
yeah.
The identity is what I think we would want as the community and as a school.
I agree. I mean, you want to win every game. That's why you play.
Yeah.
But you can take it, if you do lose a game like that. I just know this as a fan, as a dad, as a coach, former coach. If your kids, like you're saying, if they play as hard as they can play, and you're in the game with a team like that, I mean, we're as good as they are too.
That's
really good
exactly
teams.
What I told our guys today.
I mean, it's not like we hung with a team we weren't supposed to hang with, or they hung with us because they weren't supposed to hang with us. 2 equally matched teams. They had some success, we had some success. It was a great game.
It's exactly what I told our players today at the end of practice. I said, listen, either one of those teams could have won that game. I mean, it's not like, and that's, we just came up short. That's just the way it goes, and that's the way you want it to be. I mean, you want to play games where it matters, and you've got to compete at a high level in order to win, and you're going to have to against them. They got players, and they're well coached, and they've been doing that system forever. So we got to be able to match it. So The thing now is put it behind us. It's time to move on.
And the thing is, as we move on, like I do, in North Carolina, 3A football is loaded.
Yeah.
And there's a strong possibility you could see them again.
That was said. Some of our coaches said that.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't ever know.
We got to get better and better every day.
Absolutely.
That's what we are trying to get them to understand. It's not about our next opponent. It's not about what happened yesterday. Every day we've got to get better than we were.
I agree with that. All right, so that is the wrap up of the South Point game. We will go and take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk really quickly about this week's game against Stuart Cramer. So stick around after the break, and we'll talk about the Stuart Cramer Storm.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, KM Family YMCA, KM Paint Pros LLC, Arthur Services Incorporated, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back. Coach, let's talk about this week's game. Let's talk about Stuart Cramer, the Storm, obviously a conference game, Big South Conference game. Just tell us, I know you've been able to work this weekend looking at them. Tell us your impressions of what you're seeing and what we can expect to see Friday night. Thursday and Friday night, actually.
That's the scary part, is that I know what they do. They're very similar to us. I mean, from an offensive standpoint and even a defensive standpoint. In other words, they're going to be spread. They've got one back. They're going to run zone. They're going to run they run a power where we run a GT counter and that kind of stuff. They do run some gap scheme stuff. So that's the running part. But they also throw the ball. They throw the ball a lot, and so. And that might be because they were behind in games, but either way, that's what scares me. Is our coverage is got to get better. We've got to, and we worked on it today, but we've got to get better. But then defensively, they could be an odd front, they could be an even front. They're gonna do both, and they've got a little coverage scheme that's pretty good. It's, makes it hard for you to just drop back and run your normal things. So, and then of course they've got some athletes. Number 11, number 4, they're pretty good players, and there's some others. But what I always worry about with our guys is they're going to go to max preps. They're going to look at the record. They're going to look at the scores, and they're going to go, hey. And then who knows? And we can't. That's what I have not been able to get them to understand, that it doesn't matter who your opponent is. You want to be the best that you can possibly be. Don't worry about it. And they still haven't bought into that yet.
Right. Well, here's the thing I'll say. I mean, this will be your second time going against them, and I can tell you all the years that I coached against them, they always have really good-looking players. They always, I mean, they pass the looks test by all means, and they just have some tough luck sometimes, and there have been years where they have put it together. Like there was a game out here a couple of years ago. They had a quarterback, last name Rockamore. He was a dang stud, and they had a running back, and we absolutely had our hands full. And they have that, and you talk about the players, not kind of looking past them. That's the stuff I told you when we played Forest View. Several of the fans around me were like, they were fussing because they thought we ought to be blowing these people out. And I told you the one person asked me, so how good is Forest View? I said, they're good enough.
They're good enough.
I mean, it's Friday night, Stuart Cramer is very capable of winning this game if we don't play like we're supposed to play.
Right. Well, and that's what I've also tried to get through to our players. It seems to me, for whatever reason, everybody plays Kings Mountain harder than they do other teams. So you're going to get their best.
Yes.
And we're talking about high school football, so anything can happen, and we just got to be ready. We got to be prepared, and You know, we got to have a better practice tomorrow than we had today,
Right.
and you know, hopefully I'll feel a little bit better because you know I kind of had to take it easy today, but tomorrow I don't know, I'll go get me some medicine.
There you go. People, you push through.
Yes.
What did you eat at the game last night?
Huh?
What did you eat at the game? Did you eat at the stadium?
Yeah, well, I went to a friend of ours has a box, and we went in. They had all kinds of food. I ate. I don't know. Maybe I ate too much. They just had. There was a lot of food up there.
I bet you didn't eat too much.
Yeah.
Game was not. I mean, it was all right. Bless their hearts.
But where I was sitting is the best view to watch a football game that you can. I'm right behind. I mean, the score, the goalpost, at the end zone.
Oh,
I can sit up there and watch games all day
you can see
long.
everything spread open.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good way to go. So we'll do a real quick sponsor break. We've got one built in there. When we come back, we're going to talk about some honorable mention or some good performances this week from some of our players, and we'll go from there as we come back from break. Stick around.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, KM Family YMCA, KM Paint Pros LLC, Arthur Services Incorporated, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back, fans. Coach, we know we do not give out players of the week. We do thank Butler's Outdoor Design for sponsoring those, but we hold off on honoring players of the week when we don't have a win. That's something we established. However, we talked about it, and I let you make the decision, and I completely support your decisions. Yeah. You would like to talk about some good performances because we did have a good ball game.
It was a great game, and like I said, our guys played really hard, and so I think it's good to mention that JoJo. We knew it was going to be hard to run against those guys, but JoJo, he had 13 carries for 69 yards and a couple of touchdowns, and those touchdowns were big for us. But he had a sufficient night. I'm sure he would want more yardage than that, but those touchdowns were big. TJ Armstrong was 11 for 21, 194 yards, and had a touchdown pass. And so I thought he played well. In spots there was some places where he couldn't connect, and we needed to connect. He missed one there at the very end, not the last series, but the series before. We had a wheel route to Tex. He was wide open, but you got to understand, you're a quarterback and you're back there, and probably you got people all around you. Sometimes you're going to miss, but I thought TJ played a fairly good game. And then we got to go back to Gash. I think Gash is really stepping up for us. He's doing a heck of a job. He had 6 catches, 118 yards, and a touchdown. And the one that he caught was for the touchdown was an incredible catch. And then he caught the one that was on the 50-yarder on the sideline, which was impressive too. So definitely want to give him a shout out. He had another great night. That's 2 weeks in a row for him. Defensively, Antonio Armstrong led us in production points with 101, which is really good. He had 7 solo tackles and 14 assists. He was in on 14 tackles for assists, which is really good. He also had a tackle for loss and a third down stop and a caused fumble. So he had a really good night. And against a team like this that runs the ball that way, your linebackers and ends are usually the ones that have good nights. Eli Lipscomb also had a good night. He had 98 production points and 6 solos and 15 assisted tackles. Also a quarterback pressure and 2 tackles for losses. So Eli had a great night again, and he was playing on a little banged up ankle.
You'd have never known it.
And you wouldn't have known it. And he did a good job. And, he and Antonio both asked to be put back on the kickoff team because our kickoff team was struggling so bad. And they ran down on that and helped us a bunch. Eli made a big play on the kickoff team chasing a guy down. Samaj Odoms, he had 3 solos and 10 assists, assisted tackles, 1 tackle for loss. It's a good night for him. Micah Borders ended up with 2 solo tackles, 6 assists, and so he had a good night. Thomas Fair had 2 tackles with 10 assists, so he had a good night. So our front guys, who you would expect to make up a lot of plays, they did what we were expecting them to do. Yeah. If they could just learn to use that technique, the same technique over and over and over, and not mix those up so much, we probably could have done a little bit better. But I thought they did a really good job. And like you said, we were talking about kickoffs. Quickie, Jaden Williams, he had 4 kickoff returns for 77 yards, which was really good. Mm-hmm. And Gash had 1 for 31. So we gotta. It's been kind of weird over the last couple of weeks because people were sky kicking and doing things like that. It kind of changes stuff up on how you do it. But our guys are being real receptive to, and you don't have a lot of time to coach that stuff up.
Right.
So, but they're being real receptive and understanding what we can do to help ourselves in those situations and using it. Mm-hmm. So, we'll start working on Stuart Cramer on all that stuff tomorrow.
Well, if I remember correctly, one of the ones that Quickie had was when Gash had to come out because he was gassed.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying he's in bad shape. He just needed a break.
Mm-hmm.
And so we put I think it was Quickie that we put in over there on that side, and they skied it to him or pooched it by a deep pooch. And that was one of the good returns that helped us out.
Yep. Yeah. They were trying to get it to Quickie instead of Gash. They were trying to keep it away from Gash. And but it that's okay with us. Yeah. Quickie can go too.
Yeah.
So
he can.
It worked out well.
Well, Coach, I'm going to let you get out of here because I know you're not still feeling well. You go home and rest and let Mrs. Herron take good care of you.
Right.
You can prop up and watch Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that's it.
And
that's
get ready for this week. The JV game will be here Thursday, and then we'll travel to Stuart Cramer on Friday. And then you and I will get back together next Monday night.
Sounds great.
Coach, I appreciate you very much.
Thank you all.
All right. Have a good evening.
Yes, sir.
Fans, will be right back after the break. We'll talk about this week at KMHS.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, KM Family YMCA, KM Paint Pros LLC, Arthur Services Incorporated, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back, fans. We are going to talk about this week at Kings Mountain High School and a couple other things. So Drew will put up some graphics for us as we go. Maybe. There it is. I've got that printed off too. So obviously today, volleyball is playing North Gaston. They are up there right now playing varsity. It was a 4:30 and 6, and men's soccer was at Hunter Huss. It started at 6. Tomorrow, our women's golf team is at Cramer Mountain Country Club at 1 p.m. Cross country is at Ashbrook at 4:30, and volleyball will host the Chargers of Crest. That'll be a great matchup. 4:30 JV, 6 p.m. varsity. Please come out and support. That'll be a great atmosphere. On Wednesday, men's soccer will host North Gaston here at the Mountain in John Gamble Stadium at 6 p.m. Thursday, volleyball is going to Legion Collegiate. If I'm correct, I think that's in Spartanburg, 5 and 6:30 p.m. And JV football will host Stuart Cramer at 7 p.m. here at John Gamble. Friday, Kings Mountain's women's tennis team will go to the Hickory City Individual Regional. The times will be determined later this week. If we get those out, I know they'll put them on the athletic website and also on our Facebook page. Varsity football, of course, will be at Stuart Cramer at 7:30. And then on Saturday, the 19th, women's tennis will finish or still be at regionals at the Hickory City Individual or Independent, or Indy, it just says Indy, so I'm thinking individual, there on Saturday. Speaking of our tennis team, We want to say congratulations to our ladies tennis team for being the 2024 Big South Conference champions. What a great, great example of good athletes and great hard work. And they got another conference championship for our school. Congratulations, ladies. While we're talking about this week, let's talk about and remind you of Gaston County's policies when it comes to games that they host. If you want to buy tickets ahead of time, you can buy them on the hometown ticketing app. Ahead of time, you can have those. You also can use cash at the gate there at Stuart Cramer. Please remember that Gaston County Schools has adopted a no-bag policy. You are not allowed to carry in any type of bag into Stuart Cramer's stadium. And we will not have a broadcast with video this week, but we will have an audio broadcast because due to Gaston County's contract with NFHS, KMHS Sports will only be allowed to broadcast via audio. We are starting a new segment this week, and this is our Fan of the Week. So if you happen to know John Brooks, who's looking like he's locked in on the game right there, you know John, and if you're not watching, if John is watching, he'll see himself. But if you know John and you want to tell him that he was picked out at random from Charlie's picture, or was that Gary's picture? It's Charlie's picture from the crowd Friday night. Let John know that he was the Fan of the Week, and see all those people sitting around? It could be you next week.
You don't win anything.
Yeah, you don't get anything other than just, we get to put your picture on the screen and just see you. So hopefully you're not doing something embarrassing when we flash the picture and put you up there. We just are glad you're here, and thank you to all our fans. Yeah, we don't have a kiss cam, thank goodness. And Drew's going to talk about this.
Me and my son both are we're involved with WFC Wrestling, kind of local wrestling, professional wrestling. We're doing a charity show this Saturday here in Kings Mountain to raise for Coach non-perishable food items going to Western North Carolina to help benefit all the disaster up there in the mountains. 1 o'clock bell time. It'll be right downtown near where the
Farmers Market?
Farmers Market,
yeah.
Thank you. Area is right beside the old bank building, and it'll be a great time. We'll have fun. Might get Craig out there. We'll put on what is it? The ones
be the manager.
I can't think what it's called.
A onesie?
Yeah, there's wrestling ones. I can't remember.
There's
an official name for it.
Yeah, well,
we'll have to get you in the ring. Maybe that's the time me and Jeff need to.
You and Jeff need to settle your score in the ring.
There we go. But it'll be a great time. 1 o'clock. Just old school, family-oriented wrestling. You don't want to read bad language or anything. It's actually a Christian organization, and we have a great time. So 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon, downtown Kings Mountain.
What a great thing to do, and it's for a good cause. We hope you guys can come out to that and support that as well as everything else. Like I always do this time each week at the show, I want to give a nice shout out and a plug to the Kings Mountain Touchdown Club. Remember that they are for all things Kings Mountain Mountaineer. They support academics and athletics here at our school, and they do so because of the kind people like you all who are watching this show who are members of the Kings Mountain Touchdown Club. And as I always tell you, if you are not a member of the Kings Mountain Touchdown Club, remember, you can join. You can go to kmtouchdownclub.com, or you can speak to one of us about a membership, or talk to David or Marie Brinkley here at the home games, and they will tell you how to get involved, and know that all of your money that you donate goes to take care of things here at Kings Mountain, whether it be academics or athletics, because again, they're all things Mountaineer. Speaking of them and then the page we're on, we want to invite you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is what you're watching right now. If you are not already a member or have it as a subscription to our YouTube channel, please go to YouTube and join the KMHS Sports page, and you'll set the notifications on there so that when games are broadcast or the coaches show or other things that pop up through KMHS on YouTube, you'll know that it's there and you can watch it. And what's cool about YouTube is you can go back and watch games or videos or what have you, even after the fact. That's what I like about it myself. So fans, we hope to see you Thursday night here at John Gamble for our JV game. We also hope that you can come through the week to some of the other events. Kings Mountain Tennis is traveling, like we said, to Hickory. Volleyball is hosting some big games. Crest is coming up, I think it was tomorrow. So lots going on for our Mountaineers. We hope that you can come to some of those. Friday night, Stuart Cramer, 7:30 kickoff. We hope to see you there, loud, cheering on the Mountaineers. As I always tell you, have a wonderful week. I hope you are all safe. Continue to pray for those folks in the mountains as they are digging out and recovering from that, and also those who have gone there to help. Thank you for coming Saturday to help the event to raise funds and supplies for those folks going up through the wrestling event that's coming down Saturday, and for all that you do. Have a wonderful and safe week, and be blessed.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, KM Family YMCA, KM Paint Pros LLC, Arthur Services Incorporated, Harris Funeral Home,